Hello, today we're doing lesson 17 in module 2. Lesson 17, our objective is to use basic facts to approximate quotients with two-digit divisors. Now, what I was trying to get the kids to understand today is that approximating is close to how we were doing the estimating earlier. Just, I didn't want them to get confused when we approximate compared to when we estimate, because in the estimating, we were always rounding based on the rounding rules. And in these lessons, we're not rounding based on the rounding rules. We are approximating numbers based on if they are a multiple of the divisor. So let's look at how number 1 is started. So it says estimate the quotient for the following problems. So first, we're going to look at the divisor. Now, the divisor is what is doing the dividing. So we're going to look at the divisor. So our divisor was 33. We are going to round that based on the rounding rule. So that would be 30. Next, we're going to have to think of what is a multiple of 30 that is close to 612. Well, what we can also do is find out what is a multiple of 3. As I was teaching the kids earlier, what is a multiple of 3 that is close to 61? Because we're pretty much just making that 2 a 0, so it's really 610. Most of the approximations ended up with the ones place being a 0, and I want the kids to understand that it's pretty much going to be that because of the fact that we changed this to 30, nothing is going to be in the ones place other than a 0. So what can we say? 30 goes into 61. 3 goes into 61. What is the closest? Well, 60 is the closest. So 600 divided by 30. And 600 divided by 30 is 20. Now, we can also let's look over number 2 and see what number 2 does. So number 2 has 735 as the dividend divided by 78, which is the divisor. So step 1 is round the divisor, step 1. So we're going to round 78 to 80. Step 2 says look at the dividend and find a multiple of 80 that is close to the dividend. Well, like I said before, we're more likely going to have a 0 in the ones place. So now, looking at 73, what is a multiple of 8 that is close to 73? Well, 72 is a multiple of 8 close to 73. So 72 times 8 times 9 is 72. Third step is do the division. So 720 divided by 80. Okay, well, we can go ahead and get rid of the 0. So now we have 72 divided by 8. 72 divided by 8 is 9. So our quotient is 9. And that just repeats with the other two problems. So we have C down here. We're doing the same thing. 99 first. First, we're going to find out what our divisor rounds to, so 100. Second, we're going to take our dividend and we're going to round that to something that is a multiple of 100 or 10. So in this case, it was 800. And then lastly, we're going to find the quotient. Get rid of all of our zeros. And we know that it is 8. All right, let's look at the next page. The next page just goes off of the word problems that we're going to have in the end. Of course, we are going to do, it's the same thing. It says about how much. So when we say about how much, that doesn't mean exactly. So about how much does each pound of nuts cost? So we know that it's $989 for 48 pounds. It's a lot of pounds. So we have 989 divided by 48. Step 1, round the divisor, so 50. Step 2, find a multiple of the dividend, so I would say 1,000. Step 3, do the division. Get rid of those zeros. So now I have 5 going into 100. 5 goes into 100 20 times. All right, let's look at the homework now. Sorry, I'm still getting over this cold, so excuse my sniffles. Let's see. So I'm just going to do down, and then the students can do the rest. Now, they don't have to do all of them. I would at least like them to get one column done. So if we can just get that first column done, that would be great. So let's look over these problems right here. So I'm going to write these out to the side. Now it does, for every single question, it does go ahead and label how they want them to write it out. So 482 divided by 52. First step, look at the divisor. 52 will round to 50. Second step, look at the dividend. I can round that to 500. Right? Yep. And third step, do our division. 500 divided by 50. Fourth is the answer. So 5 times 10 would equal 50. So there we go. So 50 times 10 equals 500. All right. Now let's look at the next one. Let me go ahead and write this one over here before I lose it. No, that's supposed to be 10. All right, let's go to the next one. 476 divided by 81. First step, divisor, 80. Second step, dividend. So now we have to figure out, what's a multiple of 80 that's close to 476 or 470? I can say 480 because I know 8 times 6 is 48. So we're going to go 480. Third step. That's an ugly 3. Let's erase that and fix that. Third step, 480 divided by 80. Let's go ahead and cross out those zeros. Finally, 8 goes into 48 6 times. So we have 6 over here. Just keep on chugging along. Now, as long as you follow the steps and you do them step by step, I know the kids are getting confused on that dividend part because, again, we're not rounding. We're finding a multiple of our divisor that is closest to our dividend, or the given dividend. Jay says 301 divided by 26. First step, divisor, 30. Second step, dividend, 300. That's an easy one. Third, divide, division sentence. Cross out those zeros. Fourth step, find that answer, and that answer was 10. And then last step. Last question. 835 divided by 89. First step, divisor, 90. Second step, dividend. Let's see. We could do 81. Yep, 810. Third step, division sentence. I'll go ahead and cross out those zeros. Fourth step, and we get 9. Now, I do know another problem is the students aren't familiar with all their multiples up to 10. So if we work on our multiples from 0 to 10, 1 to 10, really help the kids out with division. Again, multiplication and division, they just go back and forth with each other. So the more they know their multiplication facts, the more likely they'll be able to answer the division problems. Again, if they need to, go ahead and do a multiplication table, anything for them to fluently know their multiplication facts, counting on and, just anything, repeat addition, whatever we can get them to know their multiplication facts with would be great. That would help out a lot when it comes to division. Now, I know the kids are able to count on their fingers and all that, so let's just hope that, they can keep working on that. So I'm going to put the answers down for B through O. So we have 30, 20, let's see, 10, 10, E is 10, 2, H is, sorry about that, H is 9, I is 6, K is 9, 21, N is 5, and then we have 50. All right, again, if you can do all of them, that's great. If not, at least do this row right here. Let's look at the last one. So now we have the word problems. Again, the word problems, we have to pay attention to what they are asking us. If all the lunches cost the same, about how much, and then about how many barrels of oil we'll produce in one day. So we're looking for those abouts. So about, again, means estimate. When you see about, how much, or any form, where it starts with about. Sorry about that. I kept dragging down the top. Anytime you see about how many, about how much, we know we're going to estimate or approximate. Now, lastly, the biggest reason, and the biggest reason I want the kids, and we're teaching the students this, is because we want them to be able to just, we did a problem today. I believe it was 609 divided by 21. Now, through this approximation, we could say, 21 equals 20, and then 600 would be about, would be that approximated dividend. So then we can do the math for it. We find out that it's 30 times the approximated quotient is 30. Well, that's great to know, but what happens when we actually finally have to sit down and solve this? What happens when we have to do the long division for that? What happens when we have to set it up with 609 in the box 21? You can sit here and say, okay, 21 doesn't go into 6. 21 goes into 60 twice. So we get 42, 18, 189. So now we have to figure out, well, how many times does 21 go into 189? So this is the purpose of finding these approximates. Because I can sit here and say, okay, well, I know approximately 609 divided by 21 is the same thing. Approximately 600 divided by 20, which is approximately 30. So I can check 21 times 30. And I know through those rules of 0 that that's just 0. We got our place value, and then we get 3, 630. Okay, well, 630 is close to 609. It's more than 609, though. So let's go ahead and take away a 21. Just one more group. We take that away, we get 609. Well, that's what our original dividend is, so that is the answer. Well, we took 1 away from this group, so we started with 30, but we took 1 away right here, so now we have 29. So our actual quotient is 29. So the actual answer to this is 29. So now when we're doing long division over here, we can say, okay, well, 9 times 21, 29. So it helps them when they get to where they get this big number right here, and they have to figure out how many times does 21 go into 189. So again, it helps them speed it up, do the math more efficiently. I know when I was going through school that it became, if I knew my multiplication, that it was way easier to do division. And like I showed right here, multiplication is opposite of division. They just go back and forth and they build off of each other. So if they're able to reasonably estimate what the quotient is, by doing this and what we were doing in the homework, then they will be it'll be easier for them and more efficient for them just to be